A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is now in effect in Gaza. It comes hours after Israel's cabinet approved a deal to pause fighting and exchanging the remaining hostages. Earlier this week, President Trump announced the first phase of the peace deal was agreed upon. In the wake of the peace deal, Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon weighing in on the progress being made this week.
He deserves a lot of credit for getting an agreement between Israel and Hamas. But the most important milestone here will be when those hostages get released and if Hamas actually releases them. That is the most important thing here, getting those 20 live hostages back and the 28 bodies that are the remains. And I am not totally convinced that Hamas will live up to that.
The deal comes just a few days after marking 2 years since Hamas carried out attacks on Israel. NBC's Matt Bradley has more now on this historic deal from Tel Aviv.